Ladies and gentlemen, to present you with an insight into Sri Lanka's infrastructure roadmap, we warmly welcome the Honourable Nalaka Godaheva, State Minister of Urban Development, Coast Conservation, Waste Disposal and Community Cleanliness.
His Excellency the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Honourable Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, and the Colombo Stock Exchange for organizing this investor forum and inviting me as a guest speaker of this occasion. I am honored to be here not only as the State Minister of Urban Development and Housing, but also as a professional and a citizen who understand the tremendous growth potential that lies ahead of us as a nation. Ladies and gentlemen, when His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa took over the government in 2005, the GDP of Sri Lanka was $24.7 billion, and the per capita income was $1,242. During his first term of 9 years, from 2006 to 2014, due to the rapid growth in the economy, the GDP grew by 221%, and the per capita income increased by an annual average of $287 and reached $3,821 by 2014. During his tenure in 2014, the Colombo Stock Exchange was considered the best performing stock exchange in Asia, as its market capitalization increased fourfold from $5.7 billion to $23.7 billion. We had only $2.7 billion as a foreign reserves in 2005. But by the end of 2014, the foreign reserves had increased to $8.2 billion. Our current president, His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa, was a secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing during that time. His level of understanding of the importance of sustainable development of housing, infrastructure and urbanization was remarkable. The social, economic and environmental benefits to the local economy and society through his actions as the Secretary of Urban Development and Housing was unparalleled. The $850 million investment of Shangri-La Hotel Colombo, restoration of Dutch Hospital Colombo 1, and Arcade Independence Square at Colombo 7, floating market at Petta are just a few of his great initiatives. All economic indicators were pointing in the right direction during the latter part of their tenure, and Sri Lanka had become one of the fastest growing economies among the developing countries in the world at the end of 2014. Today, once again, as the current President and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, these two visionary leaders have jointly taken up the challenge of steering our economy towards prosperity with the highest degree of certainty, even during post-COVID uncertain times. When His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa became the President in 2019, he swiftly strengthened the national security, which had been challenged during 2005-2019 era, and laid out a tenfold national policy framework, Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor, aiming not only at growing Sri Lanka's economy twofold by 2030, but also in building a productive citizen, a happy family, a disciplined society, and a prosperous nation. Today, we talk about building sustainable and smart cities and transforming the urban life of Sri Lanka towards economic prosperity, enhanced quality of life, and increased gross national happiness. Urbanization is an inevitable process where we need to identify and augment the positive aspects of the process, making it a more sustainable and people-friendly phenomena. Cities are considered centers of economic growth and cultural development and can offer countless other benefits to their inhabitants. According to a recent survey, with just over 50% of total world population, urban centers generate more than 80% of global GDP. We believe that urbanization will bring about a range of interconnected investment opportunities in environmental, physical, and societal context. This includes building of airports, ports, roads, and rail networks bridges, water and sewage systems, waste management systems, telecommunication networks, grids of electricity, and buildings of all sorts. In that context, our government has introduced a system of C-shaped economic corridors in our national policy framework, connecting the ports and airports and integrating all existing and proposed business zones together. We will develop Colombo, Hambantota, Jaffna and Trincomalee as 4 main commercial cities and establish them to be connecting cities of the national and international network as they consist of ports and airports of Sri Lanka. Furthermore, Kandy, Anuradhapura, Gampaha, Ratnapura, Galle, Badulla, Mena, Batticaloa and Kurunegala have been identified as cities that will be developed as national cities in the master plan, mainly because of their historical, cultural and economic value and their interconnectedness with the sea zone. Cities such as Puttalam, Negombo, Pothuil, Dambulla, Matara, Nuvareli and Buttala will be developed as connecting cities to the 4 multidimensional commercial cities and national cities. The integration of all major cities, townships and business zones mentioned before would lead to a local agro-industrialization outcome and ensure value-added production processes which could be used to improve our global market share. Easy access and fast connectivity to the proposed economic corridors must be supported by a well-managed road network that is spread across the country. Taking that into consideration, the government has given high priority to the country's road network as well. We will continue to build upon our development plans to ensure that all road networks that remain unfinished will be completed and would be connected to the respective economic corridors. We will also develop a 100,000 kilometer alternative road system to facilitate a higher level of access to main roads and expressways, while all internal and rural access roads will be improved to facilitate access to the alternative road system. The successful integration of these economic corridors to our national economy depends on building adequate real estate, such as housing and commercial spaces, modern infrastructure developments and sustainable urbanization. We, the Urban Development Authority, therefore have developed a roadmap that consists of 3 main development clusters, namely real estate and townships, tourism and leisure, and logistics and transportation hubs to identify and address such demands. The acuteness of the country's housing problem could be unearthed from the extensive island-wide survey conducted in the year 2016 on housing requirements of the country. According to the survey, out of the total of 6.1 million families in the country, 42%, that is 2.6 million, are faced with some sort of housing issue. They could be living in a rented house, owning partially completed homes, or living in shanties. To address the issue, since 2020, construction of more than 50,000 multi-story apartment units for urban, low-income and middle-income families through housing and mixed development projects have begun. Our goal is to complete 300,000 housing units by 2025. These housing and mixed development projects are spread across different cities and suburbs. The costs of these projects are varied from $20 million to $400 million, and the expected IRR is about 15% or more. Priority has been given to some of these projects, and the 16.5 hectares of Valikada prison land at Borella is one of them. 16.5 hectares. The land is situated in the center of Colombo with direct access to the baseline road, which gets you to the Katnak airport in just 20 minutes. Situated in a strategic location, this land would be ideal for a commercial and housing development project. 15 hectares of land at Kirimandalam Avatha in Narayanpeta is situated in the heart of Colombo. surrounded by prestigious hospitals, international schools, and other commercial activities with easy access to baseline road. This land is ideal for a township project consisting of commercial and housing spaces, such as hospitals, schools, service sector offices, recreational parks, and some entertainment venues. 5-hectare land at Summit Flats is situated in one of the most prestigious residential areas in the country, at Colombo 7. Hence, this land could be ideal for a mixed development residential project. 4 hectares of land at Shamus Galleries in Colombo 1 is situated right next to the port city. Easy access to the port and all other major transportation hubs would make this land more valuable for a commercial, transportation or maritime related development. The tourism and leisure industry is one of the most important sectors in our economy in generating foreign exchange earnings. It is also an area that could easily be developed. The government has prepared, therefore, a tourism development program with the intention of increasing tourist arrivals to 10 million per annum. The aim is to annually add a foreign exchange inflow of $10 billion to the domestic economy from the tourism industry by 2025. Accordingly, tourism and leisure has been identified as the second cluster in our development roadmap. We have currently identified 5.2 hectares of land at Oakley Cottage in Nuwara for a Scottish cultural heritage hotel, and also a cottages project and a 5 hectare of land in front of Lake Gregory in Nuwara for a theme park project. Nuwara is one of the most popular tourist destinations among the locals and foreigners throughout the year for decades now. Low temperatures, hilly mountains, colorful flora and fauna would certainly make you feel like you are living in a European city during springtime. One of the highly anticipated and lucrative leisure projects of a road development map is Bere Lake Front Project at Colombo 1. Having 100 land plots available around the lake, this project will be available to accommodate abundance of restaurants and pubs, outdoor dining areas, cinemas, and other entertainment activities, making it one of the best nightlife venues, not only in Sri Lanka, but also in the South Asia region. The minimum investment of these projects that I mentioned above can be varied between $150 million to $350 million. And the expected IRR is 16% or more. As Sri Lanka is situated at the center of Indian Ocean, the strategic value is immense in the international maritime trade sector. Moreover, the most important maritime shipping routes are drawn in south of Sri Lanka, close to Hambantota port. Hence, the government has focused heavily on the development of the country's ports and airports in order to make Sri Lanka a major logistics and supply hub in the South Asian region. This national interest was taken into consideration when selecting the third cluster of our development roadmap. Among a few locations, priority has been given to a 24-hectare land occupied by the former Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation at Ekala, Jayala, to build a warehousing, supply and logistics hub project, given it is situated near to Ekala Industrial Zone and can be reached to Colombo Port within 15 minutes. The expected investment here is approximately $140 million, and the IRR is 15% or more. As the apparel and manufacturing industries continue to grow, a few more warehousing and logistics hubs too will be added to our pipeline. The UDA's traditional investment model offerings to the investors so far have been lease basis only, and these leases usually vary from 35 years to 99 years. With the aim of attracting new private capital that has not been available before, we have recently introduced a public-private partnership investment model to UDA. This new approach would help the UDA to allocate project risks to the parties who can actually manage them best. These PPP projects will operate as profit-sharing joint venture partnerships. And these joint ventures can be structured as special purpose vehicles for asset allocation and cash flow distribution purposes. These SPVs are usually structured with a non-recourse status so that they can be isolated from any financial and other risks of the owners of the SPVs. They are separated from the parent sponsoring companies due to the legal or tax reason, which can be great advantage for the private investors. Optimizing asset utilization via SPVs can open up multiple revenue streams to the stakeholders too. Our current portfolio consists of 9 real estate projects, 9 hotel and tourism projects, 9 leisure and recreational projects, 1 logistics project, and 3 multi-story car park projects. The maximum duration of these projects could be around 5 years, and the payback period is typically 4 to 5 years. There are many benefits to the investors when choosing us as their project partners. Access to land that are situated in prime locations with premium market value, experiencing faster approval processes, enjoying special tax concessions, having access to readily available utilities and infrastructure are some of these benefits. Our utmost priority is to improve return on investment while adhering to the rules and regulations when forming partnerships and work with the investors, delivering the projects according to our roadmap. I must thank you and congratulate all of you for your presence at this event, especially at a time that Sri Lanka is gearing up to become a competitive economy in the region. You all are here today because you have confidence in Sri Lanka's ability to become a modern and competitive economy in the region. I invite you to walk with us on this journey, and with the right partnerships, I assure you that you will be able to witness and benefit from the emergence of Asia's new miracle in the foreseeable future. I thank you for your kind attention and will look forward to engaging with you in various fruitful business partnerships in the future. Thank you very much.